Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh. 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 Woo. Oh. Oh. It's gonna be all right. It's going to be all right. Well, all right, Yahsinni is in the house here for part two of what I've already started, and that is examining them, those people, because nobody's ever examined them before. They may have put out literature examining themselves, but that's like grading your own fucking test. You're gonna get an A. Let's let somebody else examine them. And so I did that. I went and pulled up Dr. Lila Africa on his video on white racism, which was breaking down the Caucasoid and pointing out scientific and anatomical facts, genetic facts that they lack a whole bunch of life sustaining, life functioning nutrients, enzymes, proteins. Okay? So we said that they were insufficient or deficient in selenium, zinc, phosphorus, and potassium. Was it potassium? Anyway, the most important one was melanin. And then I went on to read you all the things that happens with melanin and the pineal gland. And so by that point, we should have gotten the bigger picture of what is going on with these species. Okay? And it was Dr. Layla Africa that termed them animals who act like man. Okay? Not humans. Mankind. Kind of like man. But very much a phenotype and a disposition indicating animal. Wolf packs and all that. Are they crazy? They're deficient in vital elements, vital nutrients. The pineal gland is only operating at 60 to 80%. And I threw in the fact that by the age of 12, the caucasoid's pineal gland is fully, damn near fully calcified. Dr. Africa pointed out that our pineal gland can operate at 100% if only we knew how powerful that was. And some of us do. And some of us have extreme intelligence. And I put in as one of my means how black people invented everything because we have thinking minds and we have intellect and we're related to everything in nature. Okay? As far as the trees, the sun, we're children of the sun. So all the information that the sun has stored up under it is available to us when we know how to use our pineal gland and align our chakra system and how to cultivate our melanin. Okay? So that was one aspect of what's going on with them. So I wanted to add another aspect, and so I took the audio from a video made by Natureboy before he was carbonation and before he started, all that bullshit, all that with his wives and all that distraction ass shit. He was actually on some good information, And so, because I have a library of truth, I was able to go and dig into my hard drive and find this old ass video, which I'm just gonna say is it's probably more than 5 years old. Okay, it caught my eye because of the name, and it is called "Caucasian People Are Genetically Retarded." And so I've already gave you aspect of how genetically, scientifically, anatomically they are deficient in all things life or all things intelligent. And so now I'm gonna let the old school nature boy, before he converted to this whatever he is now, I'm gonna let him say some things. Okay, so hit it.
All right. Welcome. Come on in. Y'all come on in. Have a seat. We're about to go in right now, man. I think it's imperative that we hear this. It's imperative that we know this, you know, objectively with the science and the math. We gotta understand this right now. This is very important. So I'm gonna let a couple more people come in. Come on in. Come on in. You see us, we out here at the internet cafe right here, little internet area, you know. And today we're going in. We're going in because I want to make something clear. That it's very important that we understand the math and the information age and objectivity and information, not just subjectivity. We got a lot of prejudice shit going on out here where people hate white people hate black people hate Muslims or whatever, and that's not what this is. This is not about hate. This is about educating people on melanin. It's about educating humanity on what's going on and also empowering humanity, especially the head of humanity. If we're going to save humanity or anything's going to change, we have to talk to the people that humanity derived from. And okay, you see the title. The title says Caucasian people are genetically retarded, explained simply. Now that sounds offensive at first, but as I go into the wordplay and I show you what's going on, hold on, let this motorcycle go by. You know, we down here. As I go into the wordplay, I'm gonna break it all down for you. You know what I'm saying? So that you can understand it to the T. I'm gonna break this whole thing down to you and show you why black people are superior. Melanated people are superior to white people. I'm gonna break it down scientifically with their information for you right here, right now, in a way that you cannot deny it, irrefutable, undisputable. Okay, you cannot deny what I'm about to show you right now. To show you that the Caucasian, those that lack melanin, are inferior to those that have melanin in humanity. Why is this important to understand before I go into it? It's important to understand because we as melanated people are living in the mind and limiting our minds to the capacity of how we've been educated, and who we've been educated by. Okay. And so with that being said, we're going to hop right into the information. All right. But wait, I want to show you something before you understand something. We are limited by our perception and what we've been educated by. Okay. And this creates a dimension for our mind, our brain to live through. Our mind matters. The body will do what the mind tells it to do. Like as I'm moving my so-called body, that's my mind telling my body to do this. So the mind is what's very important, and the mind can be in many dimensions. What is the dimension? A dimension is the limitations and laws that it abides by. Living in the limitations of the mind of the European. When actually we have the capacity to travel outside the dimensions of the mind of the European. And I'm going to break this down to you, facts and objectivity. not subjectivity. This is not about hate. This is about totally educating us about what's going on. All right. First, let me show you this. I'm going to share my screen with you. Make sure y'all get this screen. Okay. So y'all should see my screen right now. You see my screen? First, let's start off here. You see the screen? Hello?
It's still lagging.
It's lagging.
It's like a little delay.
Oh, okay. It's not lagging. It's just a delay in that. Okay. Okay. So we got the ant in the circle. I want to show y'all this. This is a very important video to understand where I'm coming from right now. All right. And let me know if y'all see the screen. Okay. Can y'all see the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. The ant, I want to show you this. Let me know if y'all can hear the actual video as well, because this is my first time sharing my screen. And I want to make sure I can actually hear what's going on here. And I need y'all to get off the internet. I'm on the live so that I can get on with this actual download. Let me just go here. Here it goes. Boom. Anyway. Okay. Now watch this. Now can y'all hear the volume on this?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear the volume on the video.
All right, we see the screen.
Notice how the ant can't get out this circle. Because of the dimension that the ant is experiencing, when you draw the circle around them, it cannot fathom going past that circle, because to the ant, it looks like it's going to fall off its reality. I want to make sure y'all can hear this video, but I don't know how to check. This is all information. I got everything pulled up over here, all right? So I need to make sure that y'all can actually hear this video. Watch this ant. Can y'all hear the video? It's still delaying?
Yeah, we can hear you. But it's not on the part of the video playing it.
Okay. I want to make sure that they can hear the actual video. This is really important. Okay, boom. Y'all see that? Let me know if y'all hear it, if y'all heard that. Can you actually hear the volume of the video? Because I'm going to be showing some videos, and I want to make sure that y'all can actually hear the volume of this, because y'all gonna get this work right here, yo.
You can sound the video. Yeah,
you can. Okay, good. Okay, now with that, the limits exist only in the mind. Notice how the ant couldn't get past the circle. Now, why is this important? Because the simple fact is, this is how we are subjected to our reality, because we are living in the mind of the Caucasian, and the Caucasian's mind is limited due to the fact that it can only absorb a certain amount of light frequency. So therefore, we are living out of the limitations as far as dimensions of our minds in the Caucasians, not ours. We can exceed these limitations. We can walk out that circle. It's just that we've never experienced our own powers. Okay, and I'm going to prove to you this. Now, we can close that window. Boom. The word retarded, it has nothing to do with being hateful or nothing. This is all objective. The word retarded right here in the definition, it says less advanced in mental, physical, or social development than is usual for one age. Then it goes to say very foolish or stupid. Because of the underdevelopment, you would be very foolish or stupid. It's a delay. To be retard. To retard is to be hold back in terms of progress and development or accomplishment. Now, why do I say Caucasian people are retarded? They're genetically retarded because they lack melanin. This is not a bashing. This is actual fact. You are retarded. You are genetically underdeveloped. But of what? What is melanin? If we're going to say, okay, we want to educate humanity, what is melanin? Melanin is everything. And we're going to break that down for you right now. First, I want to say this. The statement that I made is that melanated people, the more melanin someone has, the more superior they are or have the capacity to be more superior due to the fact that they have more melanin. Whether they're using the melanin, which we don't, we do not use our full capacity. We do not use our full capacity of melanin. We're only using ourselves limited to the minds of the Caucasian. Now, I'll give you an example. Sports show us our abilities. We are the Superman of the planet. We are the superhumans. We're the fastest. We jump the highest. We are genetically superior. That is without a question. We dominate all physical sports, all the Olympian sports. We dominate them. If it's the fastest man in the world, the strongest man in the world, it doesn't matter. We dominate in these naturally, without any steroids, nothing. We dominate in these sports, which actually is a fact to show that we are superior genetically. Now, the question is why? How? Now, that's just on the physical plane. We're not talking about, we're going to go back into melanin. Retarded right now. Less advanced mentally, physically. If you have a genetically modification in you, as far as melanin goes, when you lack melanin, you are lacking and you're underdeveloped in the process of genetics. So genetically, you are retarded. Caucasian people are retarded genetically, which is everything. What is a gene? The gene, well, you know what the gene is. The gene is the building block of life itself. So if you have a mutation, then you have a retardation. Okay? That's as simple as that. Now, what does the word superior mean? It says higher in rank, status, or quality. Okay? Remember what the word means. Let's break down this word because it's very important. Higher in rank, status, or quality. A person or thing superior to another in rank, status, or quality. So if you have more melanin, that means okay, let's break down what melanin is. Okay? If you have no melanin, you're retarded. But what's the importance of melanin? What is the word, before we get into that, what does the word inferior mean? Inferior means lower in rank or status or quality, lower in position. Remember these words, because I'm going to come back to them. Okay? I'm going to break this down once and for all so that we understand what the hell's going on. This is not to bash, again, this is not to bash Caucasian or anybody that lacks melanin, because of the fact that you have done a lot of smart things in the world today. But melanated beings are only living out in the capacity of what you give us. We have yet to exceed the capacities of whatever we were given and what we do. And I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, what is melanin? Here's Wikipedia. Let's read it. Let's get the facts. I'm tired of these emotions. I'm tired of people having hate and all this stuff. Let's look at the emotions. Let's start right here. There are three basic types of melanin: uromelanin, pheomelanin, and neuromelanin. I mean, eumelanin, pheomelanin, and neuromelanin. The most common is eumelanin, of which there are two types: brown and eumelanin and black eumelanin. Pheomelanin is a cytine, excuse, these words are big. I don't know these words. Cytine containing red polymer or benzothionein unit, largely responsible for red hair among other pigmentations. Neuromelanin is found in the brain, though its functions remain obscure. meaning that they don't really all know all of the functions of neuromelanin. But we know, come on. In the skin, melogenesis occurs after exposure to UV radiation, causing the skin to visually tan. Melanin is an effective absorber of light. I'm gonna read that again. Melanin is an effective absorber of light. The pigment is able to dissipate. What does the word dissipate mean? Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Let's be factual. Let's look up the word dissipate. I'm sorry. Got it. Oh, there it is. Dissipate meaning. Boom. Because now we in information. We got these computers that can assist us and understand what. There it is. It can cause to disappear. That means to evaporate or vanish or dissolve. That means it absorbs it and dissolves it. Okay? Dissipate, squander or fritter away. So look, going back to here, the pigment is able to dissipate over 99.9% of absorbed UV radiation. Meaning not only can it absorb it, it can dissipate it, meaning to release it and emit it. Because of this property, melanin is thought to be the protector of cells from UVB radiation damage, reducing the risk of cancer. But that's just light work. This is Wikipedia. This is just light work. So what is light? What is light? That is important because melanin is an effective absorber of light. Okay, so boom, let's take a crash course on what light is.
Astronomy. In last week's episode, I mentioned that nearly all the information we have about the universe comes in the form of light.
Now, I only want to give y'all facts. Okay, light is everything. When we study the universe, when science is studying the universe, everything they know about the universe is in the form of light. If you don't know what light is, you don't understand life itself, because that is the building block of life. Light. Okay, light is everything, and melanin not only absorbs 99.9% of it, but it also dissipates it. We're gonna go back into that. But what is light? Let's take a quick crash course on what is light.
Hey, Phil Plait here, and this is Crash Course Astronomy. In last week's episode, I mentioned that nearly all the information we have about the universe comes in the form of light. But how does that light get made? What can it tell us about these astronomical objects? And honestly, what is light? Here's a hint.
Light.
Light is a wave. It took centuries of thought and experiments to figure that out. And to also figure out that, at its most basic, light is a form of energy. It travels in waves, similar to waves of water in the ocean. Except with light, the things doing the waving are electric and magnetic fields. Literally, light is a self-contained little bundle of these two fields intertwined. That's why we call light electromagnetic radiation. The details of this are very complex, but we can make some pretty good overall observations about light just from thinking of it as a wave. If you're floating in the ocean, you'll move up as a wave passes you, then back down, then back up again when the next wave rolls by. The distance between these crests in the wave is called the wavelength. Since light is a wave, it has a wavelength as well. And this may be its single most important feature. That's because the energy of light is tied to its wavelength. Light with a shorter wavelength has more energy, and light with a longer wavelength has less energy. And
remember that light with a shorter wavelength have more energy, and light with a longer wavelength has less energy, meaning that one is superior than the other. This is just science. This is not anything prejudiced. This is just science. And we have to put this out here so that nobody can have this doubt about any of this. Okay, this has got to stop. This has got to stop right now. Okay, melanated people are dominant, and I'm going to prove it right now, period.
our eyes have a really convenient way of detecting these different energies. Color. What you think of as the color violet is actually light hitting your eye that has a short wavelength. Red light has a longer wavelength, about twice the distance between crests as violet light. All the colors in between, orange, yellow, green, blue, have intermediate wavelengths.
So you see, As you go up in color, the purple color, the more indigo color, the more darker color, it's a higher frequency of vibration. You see that, right? Hopefully y'all see it. I think it's a lag in the video and it's just because it's live. But what I want to bring up here is, let's go to Google and put in mother color. What are the mother colors? It's very important that we understand what the mother color. This is all here. It's all at your access. This is the internet, man. This is the information age. We don't have to live in ignorance no more. All colors, these are the primary colors. The primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Your mother color is when they all put together. That's brown. So all of the colors put together make brown. The more colors you put in, it gets black. So the mother color of all colors is brown. Do we see this? Do we see this? Snap the picture, do whatever you need to do. But mixing subtle colors ranges from primary colors. There are 3 primary colors. Start with red, yellow, and blue only. Mix them together, form a neutral mother color. Use twice as much yellow as you do of the red and blue, and then you get it lighter or you get it darker. Depending on, you put blue, you're gonna get more, boom, you're gonna get more black. You see what I'm saying? So the primary color is based off of brown. Okay, now why is that important? Let's go back to the video. Here it is. He's talking about the wavelengths. Now, when you put all of these wavelengths together, all of these, when we talk about light, we must understand color. When we understand color, we realize that there's a red frequency, there's a blue frequency, there's a yellow frequency, and they all have different frequencies. You put all of those to condense together, and you have melanin, you have brown, and that's why you're brown. You're brown because you're a high vibrational frequency of light. You're vibrating at a higher light, and that would make you superior, higher in rank, status, or quality, period. You understand? Someone that is less brown would make them inferior when it came to light. And remember what he said. He said, everything we know about the universe is based around what we know about light. And then we go back to Wikipedia, and it says right here, melanin is an effective absorber of light. The pigment is able to dissipate over 99.9% of absorbed UV radiation. Okay? Now, we go back to the word retarded. It's less advanced or mentally, physically, or social development. It's an underdevelopment. So, excuse that. It's an underdevelopment. So if you lack melanin, you are genetically retarded. Technically. Facts. Forget people's feelings. Technically. Okay? Now we're gonna go forward. I got way more for you. Now listen, let's get back to
this. Of colors, wavelengths, is called a spectrum. Over millions of years, our eyes have evolved to detect the kind of light the sun emits most strongly. Well, that makes sense. That makes it easier for us to see. We call this kind of light visible light. But that's just the narrowest sampling of all the different wavelengths light can have. If light has a slightly shorter wavelength than what our eyes can see, it's invisible to us, but it's still real. We call that ultraviolet light.
If your eye color is black or brown, which is not really black, it's really dark brown, then that means that you can absorb all of the colors. You can absorb all the colors. But if your your eyes are blue, it's going to only absorb it's going to be absorb a less of frequency. If your eyes are green, they're going to absorb less frequency, have less melanin in it. Melanin is what makes things brown. Melanin is the absorber of life. You're brown, the ground is brown, the trees are brown, everything is coming from brown. The whole earth is brown. Here. Okay? So it's very important that we understand this.
Light with shorter wavelengths than that fall into the X-ray part of the spectrum, and light waves with the shortest wavelengths of all are called gamma rays.
And melanin, which is what makes you brown, which is light, all of the electromagnetic spectrum, all of it, radio, microwave, infrared, it can absorb all of it effectively, and not only absorb it, it can dissipate it. 99.9% of it, it could dissipate. It's very important that we understand this. Stop arguing about stupid things and let's get to the technologies of it. Let's get to the facts.
The other end, light with slightly longer wavelengths than the reddest color we can see, is called infrared light. Light waves longer than that are called microwaves, and those with the longest wavelengths of all are called radio waves. These different groups don't really have hard and fast definitions. Just think of them as general guidelines. But together, we call all of these different kinds of light the electromagnetic, or EM, spectrum. And remember, energy goes up when the wavelength gets shorter.
When energy goes up, when a wave lifts, that means that you are a high vibrational light being. Your melanin makes you qualified to absorb more of the light than anything else. But what is the light? The light is your mind. Your mind has been limited by the world and what you've been educated in, by the language that you speak, by the European, the whole European Caucasian mindset has limited your mind into a dimension of its own. The ant could not see past the circle or go past the circle because the dimension of its mind would not allow it to go past that circle, and that's what we're stuck in. But now it's time that we have this information out here that we go past that circle because we have the capacity. We have the capacity to do so. Science. We can go past physics. We can go past this. But we must. There's certain things that we must do to tap into our melanin and clean our melanin and start to utilize our melanin the way we're supposed to do it.
So ultraviolet light has a higher energy than violet, X-rays have a higher energy than that, and gamma rays have the highest energy of all. Infrared light has lower energy than red light, microwaves lower than that, and radio waves have the lowest energy. When you look at the whole EM spectrum, you'll probably notice that we really do only see a teeny little sliver of it. Most of the universe is invisible to our eyes.
But it's not invisible to your melanin. To your melanin. You understand? Your melanin, your body can receive the whole spectrum. Theirs can't because they are retarded genetically when it comes to melanin.
That's why we build different kinds of telescopes to detect the kind of light our eyes can't detect. They let us see a lot of stuff that otherwise we'd never notice. So you might be asking, how is light made? Well, one of the most basic properties.
This is very important to understand how is light made.
Of matter is that when you heat it up, it gains energy, and then it tries to get rid of that energy. Since light is energy, one way to get rid of energy is to emit light. Another important property of matter is that the kind of light an object emits depends on its temperature. An object that's hotter will emit light with a higher energy, that is, a shorter wavelength. Cooler objects give off light with a longer wavelength. You may have seen this in action. Heat up an iron bar and it starts to glow red, then orange, then yellow as it gets hotter. The color, the wavelength of light emitted, changes as the bar heats up. Astronomers use a shorthand for this. We say that light with a shorter wavelength is bluer and light with a longer wavelength is redder. Don't take this literally. We don't really mean more blue or more red, just that the wavelengths are decreasing or increasing. So in this lingo, ultraviolet light is bluer than blue and X-rays are bluer than ultraviolet. So objects that are more energetic, that have a higher temperature, are bluer than cooler, redder objects.
You see that? They're bluer. That's why they call us indigos, because we're high vibrational beings. We're more high vibrational.
This rule of thumb works really well for dense objects like iron bars and stars. Even humans. You emit light.
Even humans, you emit light. Listen.
But it's in the far infrared, well beyond what our eyes can see. There are less dense objects in space too, like even humans. You emit
even
light,
humans.
but it's in the far infrared, well beyond what our eyes can see. There are less dense objects in space too, like gas clouds, and the way they emit light is different. To understand that, we have to zoom in on them. Way, way in and look at their individual atoms. And to understand that, we need to take a brief diversion into atomic structure. Atoms are the...
You see, this is what the Caucasian does. It is worried, and when it talks about science, it is worried about facts. And this is why they are ruling us, because they have the facts behind what they're talking, and so they're ruling us because of this simple fact that right here. But see, the thing is, we know more. We know beyond this stuff. This is basic. This is nothing, but we have to start basing ourselves and educating ourselves and taking advantage of this time that we have here, where we have all this information at our exposure. We have to take the information and empower ourselves with it to get out of our situation, to exceed the mind of the Caucasian. If we don't, we will always be stuck where we're at. So what I've done since the day I started talking to y'all was put all of this information together so that you can take it all and understand who you are. It's very important that you understand the atomic structure of helium, or the atomic structure of the, you know, the periodic tables, because all of these atoms, they all function through what the structure he's about to break down right now. This is so important to understand, because once you understand is everything in the universe is math. Once we understand this, then we can be objective and be right and exact and perfect. We cannot be perfect with just subjectivity alone. We have to stop being like this, stop being lazy and do the work. You understand? We must become ordered and structured so that we can become supreme again.
Building blocks of matter. In general, atoms are made up of 3 subatomic particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons have a positive electric charge, electrons a negative charge, and neutrons are neutral. Protons and neutrons are much more massive than electrons and occupy the centers of atoms in what's called the nucleus. Electrons whiz around the nucleus, their negative charge attracted by the proton's positive charge. The type of atom depends on how many protons it has in the nucleus. Hydrogen has 1 proton, helium 2, lithium 3, and so on up the periodic table of elements. It's common to think of the electron as orbiting the nucleus, like a planet orbits the sun. But that's not really the case. The real situation is fiendishly complex and involves pretty hairy quantum mechanics. But in the end, the electron is only allowed to occupy very specific volumes of space around the nucleus, and those depend on the electron's energy.
Now, I'm going to take what he's saying, and I'm going to make it so simple for you, because I know that a lot of times when they be talking, we be like, what? No, I'm going to put it in so we can understand it in our language, in the lamest term, because I truly understand what's going on here. Okay? Now, here you have the electron. The electron is what absorbs. I'm going to show you. He's going to tell you, but I'm going to guide you through this.
Think of these like stairs on a staircase, where the landing is the nucleus. When you walk up the stairs, you have to use energy to go up. And when you do, you have to go up a whole step at a time. If you don't have the energy to get to the next step, you can't move. You can be on the first step or the second step, but you can't be on the 1.5 step. There isn't one. Electrons are the same way. They whiz around the nucleus with a very discrete amount of energy. If you give them an additional precise amount of energy,
the electron get energy, and the ions get energy from what is called mitochondria DNA. But we'll go into that later. That's not, but just so that you know, it's getting its melanin and its electrical charge from these mitochondria DNA that are full of melanin. They take it, they charge up ATP, and they send out this energy to your electrons. And it's very important that you understand this. Because if you don't understand this, you won't understand how special you are and how special your being is, and you won't understand why you need to go to nature and be connected to nature, and why you need to have oxygen and all this stuff. You will never understand what you are.
They'll move up to the next energy level, the next step. But if you give them the wrong amount, they'll just sit there. The opposite is true as well. Electrons can be in a higher energy state, up on a higher step, and then give off energy when they jump down. The amount they give off is exactly the same amount needed to get them to jump up in the first place. How do they get this energy? Light. If light is absorbed by the mitochondrial DNA in your cells and then dissipated to the electrons, and the electrons give the energy to your cells to make them function, to give you energy. Electrons and ions. Hitting the atom has just the right amount of energy. The electron will absorb it and jump up.
See, the electron absorbs and emits light. It absorbs light. It's what gives you energy, the electron. That's why it's so important. But in the inside of an electron, you will see that it's nothing but energy and empty space. What they call empty space, but it's full of space. It's full of ether, what is called melanin. Light is melanin. That's why it absorbs. That's why it absorbs it so well, because melanin is the solid form of light. Water is the liquid form of light. You understand? Everything is light. Everything is light in different forms.
Down and emit light at that energy too. An electron can also jump 2 steps or 3 or whatever, but it needs exactly the right energy to do it. But as I said earlier, energy and wavelength are the same thing, and that's equivalent to color. So when an electron jumps up or down, it absorbs or emits a very specific color of light. Not only that, but the steps are different for different atoms.
Okay, you see, your electrons are actually working on what frequency of light that's being emitted to them. So your mind, if it's being educated by a Caucasian, which is underdeveloped when it comes to light, then the only information that you get to your electrons to actually, and your brain is full of electrons and neurons, your neuromelanin is depending on the light that you get. Now, light comes in the form of information. Information is light. We got that picture? Somebody got that picture? So when I had the melanin, light and information and heat. Okay. So with that being said, it is very important to understand that our electrons are only feeding off what our mind has been educated. You put your child in a school that's educating them about the European culture and his story and math, as far as he'll let it go, as far as his physics will go, and you take an IQ test and think that you're smart based on what his curriculum says that you are, then you will only look at yourself as smart as they are. But you're way more intelligent. You're just basing your intelligence based upon their systematic curriculum that they give us. And so in their world, you're dumb. You see what I'm saying? And Einstein said this. If everybody in society, if you ask an elephant to climb a tree or a fish to climb a tree, and no, the fish is not going to climb the tree. The fish swims. But if you judge education on basically climbing a tree, that being the curriculum, then you being a fish, you're going to feel stupid in that society. And that's exactly what we're subjected to. We're subjected to feeling that we're smart or dumb compared to the curriculum or the IQ, what they call the IQ, the curriculum that they have processed for us to measure our intelligence. But that's not the true intelligence. That's their intelligence, which we are able to exceed as well. We just haven't tapped into our melanin to the point of understanding it and overstanding it and exceeding it. So our minds are trapped in the dimension like the ant, and they're bounds of frequency of light that our electrons are receiving. Do you understand what I'm saying? We're bounded by that alone. Period.
It's like different atoms are different staircases with different heights between steps. When an electron jumps to a hydrogen atom, it emits a different color of light than an electron jumping down in a helium or a calcium atom. And this is the key to the universe.
This is the key to the universe. Listen to this. This is very important.
Because different atoms emit different colors of light. If we can measure that light, in principle, we can determine what an object is made of. If we can't touch it, even if it's a bazillion light years away. And we can. Can you tell the difference between these squares?
Now, if you're black, you can see the color of the on the left is darker than the color on the right. Light at a higher frequency. If your melanin is popping, you can obviously see that the color on the left is darker than the color on the right. But they cannot see it. So they use machines because they can absorb the light that we can absorb. They make machines to tell the difference between light, and they're making up for their lack of melanin with these machines. But our body can do better than the machines. Even the machines can. Because we are the universe. And of course, we are the universe, so the universe is attracted to itself. That's law. That's why we're able to absorb all light. I can clearly see that the square on the left is darker. But they can't see this. Reflecting this fact a certain amount of light.
They're a very slightly different shade of red. Your eye probably can't tell the difference, but a spectrometer can. This is a device that can the wavelength light. And for example,
so these machines, the spectrometer is to study melanin. It's all it is all about. That's what life is all about. That's what science is all about. Nothing matters but melanin. I'm telling you, light is the only thing that matters. Once you understand light, then you can control light. Then you can make it do whatever you want to do. Then you could be God. Okay? And these people lack understand. And even when they perceive the light that they see, and they use this machine that can do what we can do naturally to really truly see the color, what they do with the information still is based upon a frequency of thought that is still underdeveloped. Perceive the world from the vibration that they are. And it's truly sad when you think about it. It's not anything to be boasting about, like, oh, we're supreme. No, you're supposed to feel sorry for people that lack melanin. You're supposed to feel sorry for people that are underdeveloped and retarded. You're supposed to not do what they're doing. That makes you just as retarded as they are. But because we were born inside this world and their mind, we think it's the normal thing to do.
Example, distinguish light emitted by a hydrogen atom from light emitted by helium. When you hook one of these spectrometers up to a telescope, you can figure out what astronomical objects are made of. In the case of gas clouds in space.
And then when we can figure out light, then we can create an atom bomb. We can create an atomic bomb. We could create weapons that will destroy someone else. We could use it to be powerful, and we can go over here. This is how they think. This is why they want to control everything, so that they could take that power and use it against themselves to destroy themselves. That's all of the things that someone that lacks melanin can do, is go against life itself, because it doesn't have enough life to understand that you're supposed to live in harmony with life. Okay, so that is super duper important to understand right there. That there's an underdevelopment in people that have less melanin. This doesn't make an excuse for people to have melanin, because you should know better, but we don't. And so I'm here to guide us back to our supremacy. When I say supreme, I mean that we're superior. Genetically, cosmically, we are qualified to be the teachers and leaders of this planet. Period. And I'm showing you this objectively with facts. I don't want to argue about subjectivity. Here's the facts. Here it is.
The atoms are basically floating free, rarely bumping into one another. The atoms emit those individual colors of light, allowing us to identify them. Unlike dense stars, the color of the thinner gas.
Okay, we're going to be done with this video. Boom. That's what light is. I'm pretty sure that you grasp what light is. But hold up real quick, because I just got a photo that I want to show y'all too. Oh, that might not be the good screen to do. Because you're probably going to see an echo screen. My bad about that. But yeah, there's an actual picture that I made okay, now that we understand what light is, because right here in Wikipedia, it just said, right here in the second paragraph, it just said, melanin is an effective absorber of light. The pigment is able to dissipate over 99.9 and absorb UV radiation. Now, that's Wikipedia. We can close that out. Boom. Right? I want to go into this video by Nina. She's talking about the biology of skin color. And in here, I want to pull up some things for you so that you can understand. And she breaks this stuff down. She breaks it all the way down. Okay?
Biological anthropologists like myself spend our lives studying how humans evolved and why we differ from one another physically. Our skin provides one of the most visible markers of human variability. It's something that sets us apart from our closest animal relatives. Under their dark fur, chimpanzees have pale skin. And millions of years ago, that was probably also the case for the primates that were our common ancestors.
Pay attention to none of this. When she's talking about us coming from apes and stuff, like, just pay attention to none of that. Just keep it moving. There's some important information in this video.
So where did humanity's range of skin colors come from? From physics, we know that the color of any object comes from the wavelengths of light.
Notice this. This is a very important part. I'm going to rewind it a little bit here. I want you to pay attention to what's going on here. She said from physics. From physics.
So where did humanity's range of skin colors come from? From physics, we know that the color of any object comes from the wavelengths of light that it reflects back to an observer's eye. We see leaves as green because they reflect back the wavelengths our eyes see as green.
Right. Green, it's vibrating at a certain frequency, is just math. That's all. When you see the color green, then you know that that object is vibrating at a certain frequency. Okay? Remember the colors? Remember all the colors? Remember? It's vibrating at a higher frequency. When you see green, you know that that's vibrating at a frequency. That's a mathematical equation that your eyes are receiving.
Absorbing the wavelengths we see as other colors like blue or red. In humans, different wavelengths of light are reflected or absorbed by a pigment in the top layer of our skin. That pigment's called melanin. It sits inside what look like tiny grains, the melanosomes, that are produced by cells called melanocytes. Our individual genetic inheritance determines the
Melanocytes. Melanocytes are produced by the pituitary gland. If you don't believe me, let me pull it up for you. Melanocytes in the pituitary gland. I spelled that wrong. Sorry. Boom. Melanocyte stimulating hormone. That's what it's called. Melanocyte stimulating hormone, also called intermedian or melanotropin, any of several peptides derived from the protein known as whatever that word is, POMC, and secreted primarily by the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is producing, here it is, here's the facts. Your pituitary gland is producing melanocytes, melanocyte stimulating hormone. This is what gives you, and then if we go do a little research in it, boom, we go into it, hit the joint. Come on. Come on with it. It's very important that we understand what melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH, is. Because now we're going into melanocytes. How it's produced. This is how they understand it. Melanocytes are called MSH, also called intermedian or melotropin. Any several peptides derived from the protein known as POMC and secreted primarily by the pituitary gland. In most vertebrates, melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH, peptides are secreted specifically by the intermediate lobe of the pituitary gland, function primarily in skin darkening, with the area of other minor activities. Yeah, right. The MSH peptides include all these A, B, and Y. They are disguised from one other by other preferential binding to different melanocortin receptors. Now, listen, I want to tell you, when you're reading this stuff, they be using some big ass words, but if you read with your heart, you'll be able to see right through this right here. So basically, your melanocytes are being produced and vibrating from your pituitary gland. Your pituitary gland is like the master gland of the body. Okay, so it just go study your hormones, go study your pituitary gland, because it's one of your chakras. Okay, it's very important that you understand where these melanocytes are being produced from, because what you will understand when you understand what melanocytes truly are is that your body is vibrating at a certain frequency to create these melanocytes. These melanocytes actually absorb the universe. They absorb the universe. They're in communication with the universe, which allows you as a brown being, a mother color, that you're at a high vibrational. It allows you to communicate with the universe at its full capacity. Now, when someone's pituitary gland is not producing MSH, they are lacking melanin. The lack of MSH from the pituitary gland is an underdevelopment that creates someone that has less pigment, has less melanin. Okay, so when your pituitary gland is not working genetically to produce melanocytes that'll make you brown enough to even be in communication with the universe. These melanocytes absorb the universe because they are the universe. Okay? They are the universe. It's the universe communicating with itself. You are, your whole being is a computer. And I'm about to break that down to you. They're only going to give you a little bit. They're only going to give you a little information because the more they start studying this stuff, the more they realize that they're not superior. And it goes against the politics of what's going on, the political movement of what's going on. And they can't give you but so much information. You have to read between the lines. You can't expect someone to tell you that you're superior when they are trying to be superior within their confinement, within their civilization. Why would I, if I built a society, tell you that you're superior to me? I would never tell you that. So they're going to go around that. What you're going to realize, you got to look between the lines and realize this. If you don't, then you're always going to be trapped like that ant within the circle of dimension of their mind.
Of melanin inside our melanosomes. The reddish yellow pheomelanin is more abundant in lightly pigmented people. Also colors human and animal hair and the feathers of many birds.
And you dye in your hair. Your melanin, your hair is full of melanin. Your hair is trying to communicate with the universe and light itself, and you color in your hair. How your body is a computer, but you don't know who you are, so you color your hair. You would never color your hair if you knew that it was creating an insulation between you and the universe that allows you to vibrate at a certain frequency to do the ignorant shit that you're doing. You would never do that because you know it would be an interference between you and your higher self, what you truly are. And that you can't communicate and get the information and the messages that you're supposed to be receiving to operate at your full capacity.
Interestingly, the wavelengths of light that melanin reflects are far less important biologically than the ones it actually absorbs. And of the ones it absorbs, the ones that are the most important are those that we can't even see.
Did you see that? Melanin can absorb things you can't visualize. I just said that earlier. And it's very important that we understand this scientifically, which makes you supreme. You can absorb the whole electrical magnetic spectrum, which means that you can communicate with all of life and the universe itself. You can communicate with all of light. It's just that you haven't been doing it. You haven't been doing it.
Much of the light given off by the sun is invisible to our eyes. Some of that is what's called ultraviolet radiation, which is highly energetic. So much so, penetrate living cells. When it does, it can wreak havoc within them. It can even cause mutations in skin cell DNA.
Boom. If your blood ain't clean, the sun will wipe you the fuck out. I don't care if you're melanated, it will still wipe you out. The sun will still wipe you out. It doesn't care. If you're not vibrating at the right frequency, you can get burnt alive. It's just how it goes, man. The sun doesn't care about that. The nature doesn't care about it. And it's heating up right now. And I advise y'all all to make sure that you eating the right food and you vibrating at the right frequency because it's going to get hotter.
What stands between us and that threat is the melanin in our skin.
Melanin is kind of like the sensor and kind of like a guardian molecule, and its main job is protection.
It's not its main job. Its main job is to communicate with itself, the universe, and send those messages to your cells. They send the messages to your cells so that it makes you an antenna. Now, let's look up the word antenna. Watch this. Watch this. Antenna definition. I'm sorry. Conductor. What is a conductor? No, I had it right the first time. It was antenna. Antenna right here. Boom. Go to definition of it. Here it is. Antenna. Right in your face. Right here. It's all on Google. It's all on Google. It's right here. It says a conductor by which electromagnetic waves are sent out or received. That would mean that your melanocytes, your melanin, is an antenna of the universe. It is receiving and emitting the universe, meaning that your melanin makes your whole body, your whole being, something that is in complete communication with light. What you are a high vibrational light being. Look up the word antenna, man. Look it up. It's right there. A conductor. Do you know what the word conductor means? You do? Conductor definition. But a conductor is a person who performs or orchestrates a choir. No, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the scientific meaning of conductor. Come on now. What is it? No, not someone that conducts a train. What does it mean to conduct? It's a leader. It's a manager. Here it is. Definition 4 tells us that copper is a good conductor. So we're talking about that kind of conduction. A substance, body, or device that readily conducts heat, electricity, sound, etc., which means electrical magnetic light, magnetic spectrum, magnetic energy, electromagnetic energy. We go back to antenna. Here we go. A conductor by which electromagnetic waves are sent or received, consisting commonly of wires or set wires area, which would be your nervous system, which would be the wires. You're a conductor, which receives and sends out electrical magnetic waves. That's what melanin is. The more melanin you have, the more it boosts your antenna to be in communication with oxygen, all forms of light, heat. Then you go to conductor. What is a conductor? It's a substance. That's what melanin is. It's a substance. Okay? Your body is a body or device, which is your body, your being, that readily conducts heat, electricity. Now, what is heat? What is heat? Heat is light. What is electricity? It's a form of light. What is sound? It's a form of light, etc. That would make that what? An electromagnetic wave. Period. Your body's an antenna. And if you have melanin, it's vibrating. It's a super antenna because you're a superconductor, because you're able to absorb all of the electromagnetic spectrum, which means you're able to absorb all of light. That means you are in complete communication with the universe, but you're living in an environment that doesn't allow you to connect to what you really are, which is nature. And nature provides you the oxygen levels that you need for your brain to function at the capacity that is truly supposed to function at. But you live in a carbonated area where you have no trees, you have not connected to nature, you have no pure water, you have nothing that will produce the battery that you are to vibrate at a high frequency. You are supreme being, but you vibrate in your lower self. You vibrate through the eyes and through the mind of a genetically retarded version of yourself. This is all facts. This is not trying to put anybody else down. This is facts.
For instance, it protects skin cell DNA by forming what are called supranuclear caps and absorbing UV.
They're like little parasols around the nucleus, and UV cannot penetrate these to go and attack the DNA.
Now, that's what they will tell you. They will not tell you everything, but there's a video I caught out here. There's a very important video I caught out here. And I'm about to show you it. Because they're only giving us a little bit of information about melanin, but they've been studying melanin for years upon years secretly. And they're not going to tell you. You have to go find it. You have to seek and ye shall find. Seek the kingdom of God first and everything else shall be added unto you. You have to go seek the knowledge. This is what the information age is all about. It's about you having the opportunity to go seek and find the truth. But you rather talk about sports and girls and stupid shit that makes no sense. This is what appeals to you because you're being distracted and disturbed from your very own divinity. But enough is enough. Enough is enough. Here I am going to prove it again. I've been proving this in all of my lectures, and now I got this avenue of Google Hangout, and now I'm going to utilize it to prove it to you once again. Here's a video, another video with Nina Jablonski talking to us about UV and the detriments of us not getting enough UV light.
Or nearly all of it, is dissipated through the thickness of the atmosphere. In the winter, when you are skiing in the Alps, you may experience ultraviolet radiation, but it's all UVA, and significantly, that UVA has no ability to make vitamin D in your skin. Inhabiting northern hemispheric environments were bereft of the potential to make vitamin D in their skin for most of the year. This had tremendous consequences for the evolution of human skin pigmentation, because what happened, in order to ensure health and well-being,
epigenetically, your body is receiving information from your atmosphere and your environment, and now it will produce in your children what it needs to survive within the environment that you're in. Your baby will come out lighter. If you notice, there's a whole bunch. There's dark-skinned babies they're extinct. We hardly see dark-skinned babies. When the last time you seen a chocolate baby? Ask yourself that. When the last time you seen a real dark-skinned baby? Literally in your life. We're becoming lighter. And I'll go into that in a minute.
these lineages of people dispersing into the northern hemisphere lost their pigmentation. There was natural selection for the evolution of lightly pigmented skin. Here we begin to see the evolution of the beautiful sepia, and we're unaware of the fact that we're living in environments in which are been on the move. We're so clever, we can overcome all of these seeming biological impediments. Well, often we're unaware of the fact that we're living in environments in which our skin is inherently poorly adapted. Some of us with lightly pigmented skin live in high UV areas. Some of us with darkly pigmented skin live in low UV areas. These have tremendous consequences for our health.
But we don't pay attention to this. We want to travel the world. We want to go outside of our natural environment. No animal wants to go outside of its natural environment. They took us out of our natural environment. But this is not only affecting our brain and our mind. We have to be smart enough to go home and come into our natural environment. We can't wait for somebody to tell us, hey, black people, listen, man, we care about you so much, you know. And we want to tell you that not only are you supreme being and you're the gods of the earth and you're the protectors of the earth and you're the protectors of nature, and that you know more than even our science does if you just applied it. But you're living in the wrong environment. You should be in the tropics. No way. Information comes in pieces. You got to put it together. You got to go seeking it. This is why the path of the righteous is a narrow path, because not many people want to go do the work and the due diligence to actually do the studying. And then when they do the studying, what I found is a lot of people know stuff, but they don't live it. It's amazing. It's a whole nother thing to apply the information, but they don't do it. But here's the facts.
We have to, if we're lightly pigmented, be careful about the problems of skin cancer and destruction of folate in our bodies by lots of sun. Epidemiologists and doctors have been very good about telling us about protecting our skin. What they haven't been so good about instructing people is the problem of darkly pigmented people living in high latitude areas or working inside all the time, because the problem there is just as severe, but it is more sinister.
Sinister means evil. It is evil. Look up the word sinister. It means evil. It is more sinister for the government not to talk about, you know, you talk about protecting, putting sun tan lotion up and protecting yourself from the sun, but they never talk about how detrimental it is for black people to get sun. It's sinister for the government not to even say anything about this.
Because vitamin D deficiency from a lack of ultraviolet B radiation is a major problem. Vitamin D deficiency creeps up on people and causes all sorts of health problems to their bones, to their gradual decay of their immune systems or loss of immune function, and probably some problems with their mood and health, their mental health.
Probably. Your mental health is dependent on light, man. You are light, man. How you light not receiving enough light. So you're going to have miscommunications in your body, which are diseases. That's what diseases are. Diseases are miscommunications in the body because you're not close enough to what you are, which is light. You're not getting enough oxygen. You're not getting enough UV, B. You're not getting enough sunlight. You're not getting enough water, the pure water that you're supposed to get. Your body is like a vehicle, and it needs certain fuel. And different vehicles need certain kind of fuels. You get a Honda, you can use any kind of gas. You can put regular gas in a Honda. But when you're talking about a high-tech vehicle, you have to put a certain kind of fuel in this vehicle to get the peak performance from this vehicle. But we're not doing that, are we? We do not live in our natural environment. Even the zoo tries to make a natural kind of natural environment for the animals that's there. Every species has a natural environment. With that being said, I want to go into this real quick, y'all. Go to my channel. And I want to go to my playlist. Within my playlist, you can go to study. I got all kind of playlists here. The Truth Backed Up. It might be in here. I got all kind of information in here for you guys. If you go to my playlist, you're going to see. Natureboy's not playing with this. I'm really doing this for the people, for humanity. You want to call it whatever you want to call it, man. Black people, white people, whatever. I'm really out here doing this for y'all, man. 24/7. I've been doing this for mad long before any other stuff ever popped up, man. But you see this drama stuff that's going on, man. This is what I was doing, man. I'm sitting here doing this for y'all. I put all the information together so you ain't got to be tricked. I got mad playlists. Okay? So when it comes to sunlight, here it goes, right here. Here's a video. This is very important.
About diabetes and hypertension.
You see this, divine messages. I made this video and edited this video for y'all a long time ago. Here's a divine message from Natureboy. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. It is a hormone for the sun.
And bone diseases, osteoporosis, and arteriosclerosis, and cancer, and autoimmune disease, and the list goes on.
Scientists found that list is so long because vitamin D actually regulates cells, systems, and organs throughout the body.
I break down DNA, I break down genes, I break down RNA, which are genes, I break down epigenetics, I break down astrology for you, I put it all together for you. I love myself. Here it is, here it is.
It works by turning your genes on and off, very, very basic function. So that's a very important fact about vitamin D that distinguishes it.
The sun turns your genes off and on. Oxygen turns your genes off and on. All forms of light that you're not in communication with turns your genes off and on. You will never vibrate at your full capacity. You will never be who you truly are without having your connection to nature. It is very important that we have this connection to nature. If we don't, then we will never understand who we are. We'll never come out the mind and the perception of our lower selves.
From any other vitamin. It's a steroid hormone. It's in a class by itself.
A major question and area of controversy regarding vitamin D is sun exposure. So health investigators hit the trail looking for answers. Doctors have observed that where there's less sun, there's more cancer, flu, and even autism. For instance, there's more of these diseases in winter, which has less sunlight. There's also more of these diseases the further you get away from the equator, because there's less sunlight the further you get away from there.
Now, it's very important. I'm going to rewind that for you guys, because that's very important that we understand this. Solar power is everything. You're a solar being. Okay? The breath that you're breathing right now is your soul. You're solar. Okay? This is very important to understand. Now, listen to me very closely. Okay? We talk about living so far away from the sun. You got to understand, he said dis-ease. What is dis-ease? It's dis-ease. Break down the word. That means a body that is not at ease. Is at dis-ease. The dis-ease comes from or miscommunication. Everything is trying to communicate with itself. And at the end of the day, all you can do is get in the way of that. From birth, you were perfect. Well, you came in on your karma, but that's another whole thing. But you're made to be perfect. You already are God. And all that you can do is get in the way of you being that. Period. That's it. That's what disease is. It's anything that insulates the communication from the universe to itself. That's it. When you have diabetes, the pancreas cannot communicate with the hypothalamus. And there's this disconnect. This disconnect creates disease. But what's creating that is the insulation from the excess mucus from the dairy and all the sugar that you're eating. It creates mucus around cells that won't allow them, because we're electrical beings, won't allow them to have the electrical synapses between each other to communicate. And anytime there's a miscommunication, there will be issues and problems, even in relationships that we have, because we're cells, right? Whenever you have a bad relationship, it's simply because there's a miscommunication. Always behind all hurt is a miscommunication, is a misunderstanding. And when there's understanding, there's love. That's why I said love is understanding. Because when we communicate, when everything is in communication properly, is in structure and order within the math of the universe, then everything functions perfectly. Everything functions as you designed it to function. Excuse the noise in the background. It's the kids at the schools across the street. You guys know this.
Equator, because there's less sunlight the further you get away from there.
Even here in sunny California, very few people get enough sun to make sufficient vitamin D in their skin for the best of health.
Down in San Diego, you can make it year-round, but even then, in San Diego, in the wintertime, you have to go right out at solar noon. There's only about a 2 or 3 hour period where you're going to make any substantial amounts of vitamin D.
But wait a minute, won't this possibly lead to skin cancer? Most sunscreen companies provide products that block the ultraviolet B, or UVB, from the sun. Those are the very rays you need to produce vitamin D in the skin.
Now they admit the UVA rays that the sunblock lotions allow to get in are the ones causing the cancer. So they let the one that causes skin cancer in, and they block the one that prevents it.
Statistics show skin cancer rates and deaths have actually risen since the sunscreen campaigns began 30 years ago. Cannell recommends keeping your time in the sun moderate. 15 minutes in a bathing suit during summer is plenty.
Let me make this clear to you. This video is not educating black people. We're living in behind the mind of the white man. We are just following whatever he's doing, and we just take his information. You see, they're talking to there's a conversation that's going on, and it's not dealing with black people, okay? It does not deal with the melanated people. They're talking amongst themselves, to themselves, and we are sitting there in their shadows, acting as we are them, when we're not. We are them as far as they came from us, but they're not talking to us. And this video shows you this, because as I'm educating myself and understanding myself, I realize that all of this shit is European people talking to European people. They're not talking to black people. They don't care. Like the lady said, it is more sinister that we don't educate people about not getting enough sunlight, but we educate people about getting sunlight, protecting themselves from the radiations of the sun, which means that they're talking to themselves. We're not even included in their information. We're being diagnosed with diseases from their understanding of themselves when we're different. We're vibrating at a different frequency. You understand what I'm saying?
You don't want to age your skin or cause damage from a sunburn. Not everyone agrees. The American Academy of Dermatology website finds it appalling that anyone in good conscience could make the claim that intentional sun exposure for any length of time is beneficial.
Now, this is the AAD. It's American Academy of Dermatology. The dermatologists are saying, this is what they're saying to Americans, right? To America. But you're living in the shadow, melanated being. They're not even talking to you. It says it is appalling that anyone in good conscience could make the claim that intention. These are the people that actually are your government, that make the claim that intentionally sun exposure, and good conscience can make the claim that intentional sun exposure for any length of time is beneficial. Now, come on. We need sunlight. If we don't get sunlight, come on, they're not even talking to us. You see, we are living in the shadow, and if we don't understand this trick, then we will always be living in the mind of our so-called, what we call our oppressor, or someone that's keeping us down. Or no, you keeping yourself down, because the information is right there. All you got to do is get it, apply it, and then leave. Ain't nothing holding you back but you.
Then there's the issue of darker skin, which
Then there's the issue of darker skin. After they just said that, right? Look at what they just said.
beneficial. Then there's the issue of Ecology website finds it appalling that anyone in good conscience could make the claim that intentional sun exposure for any length of time is beneficial. Then there's the issue of darker skin.
Okay, now what the hell was you talking about for the last 2 minutes? What was all the other information about? Were you? Then there's the issue of black people. Like, hold on, bro. You just said that it's not good. You see what I'm saying? So they're educating themselves, and now look. Now they say then there's the issue. Then we're like some shadow. Then there's the issue of darker pigmented people. I want y'all to notice this. It's very important that we understand this.
Which naturally screens out more of the UVB rays that make vitamin D. Their blood levels of D are about half that of lighter skinned people, making a connection with the diseases that shorten their lives.
Heart disease and hypertension and stroke and cancer are the same diseases that have been associated with vitamin D deficiencies.
So it may not be surprising that vitamin D deficiency affects as much as 3/4 of the populace, especially as winter takes its toll on vitamin D level.
Are you gonna do another winter and fall there, or are you gonna chill out this summer? See, y'all kill me. Y'all say, oh, well, we need to do. You got all this information, but you won't apply it to your life. You gonna do another winter and fall? Do you know how detrimental that is to your mind and your health? Well, I'm about to show you.
Vitamin D activates your immune system, causes something to be formed called little peptides that kill bacteria and viruses without antibiotic resistance.
Okay, boom. Now y'all heard that. That's from the Caucasian itself. Now, here it is. Let's just make it more plain and simple for you, melanated beings, and anybody else watching this. Let's make it more plain and simple to you.
We thought in medicine that, you know,
because remember, the lady said that melanin is just a protector, right? Nah, here we have melanin role in the body is being rethought. Melanin has genetic, biochemical, and functional links to the immune system, neutralizing oxidants and antimicrobial drugs.
you know, is it really something that just absorbs sunlight, or does melanin have a role in the immune system in the body?
We're waiting on them to educate us. Instead of looking in between the lines, all the information is there. This guy is not even talking about black people. He's talking about a mushroom that has melanin in it. I just caught this.
And is it really more of an antimicrobial kind of defense against bacteria? Because melanin is found throughout all the animal and vegetable kingdom.
Melanin is found all throughout nature. Complex molecule that forms skin pigment. Not just that, it's found in many body tissues, brain, adrenals. Gives chaga, the plant he's talking about, the mushroom he's talking about. He's selling a mushroom. It's brown color. That's what gives chaga its brown color. Melanin. Brown, high vibrational. There it is. Helps repair DNA and body cells because we can heal very quickly. We can heal from our sickness very quickly. Powerful, free radical scavenger and antioxidant. Sets chaga apart from other medical mushrooms.
And melanin is the very thing that you have in your hair and in your skin that gives you the color. Whether you're more red, whether you're more brown, whether you're tan, whether you're not, is because the melanin produced by your skin and the parts of the cell called melanocytes, or the pigment of your skin. And some people who have a condition called vitiligo, where their skin looks blotchy and they have white patches, they don't make this pigment. When you're exposed to all,
if you don't make the pigment because you're Caucasian, like the reflection right here, his pituitary gland is genetically modified to not be able to produce the amount of melanin for him to be in communication with the universe to even be teaching us anything. I mean, we can learn the basics from these people, but our minds are able to go to dimensions that their minds could never fathom. We can see things that they can't see. We can hear things that they can't see. Our being is able to travel astrologically through dimensions and understand things. They go to the microscopic world through a microscope. We can go there through our pineal gland. We can go there through our pineal gland because we produce more DMT in our bodies.
ultraviolet radiation, you make more of it. Now, melanin is what gives chaga its dark color. That's what's so rich in this mushroom compared to the other mushrooms. And
that's what's so rich in this mushroom compared to the others. Now, that takes us back. He said it's rich, which means it's what? Superior. That's what makes it superior from the other mushrooms, right? Did he not say that? He said that's what makes it rich. Higher in rank, status, or quality. Would you like me to look up the word rich for you too? Let me break that down for you. Rich definition. You got Google, use it, man. Here it is. Have a great value, have a great deal or money or assets, wealthy, plenty or abundant. That's what makes it rich. It's plenty and abundance of melanin in it. That's what makes this so good, he said. So it makes the mushroom what? Superior. That's what makes the mushroom higher in rank, status, or quality. It's richer because it has it's superior. What makes it superior is its melanin. I'll rewind it for you. Here it goes.
They found in this mushroom compared that's what's so rich in this mushroom compared to the other mushrooms. And what they found in Russia, it radiation, you make more of it. Now, melanin is what gives chaga its dark color.
Melanin is what gives chaga its dark color. Melanin is what gives you your dark color. Okay?
That's what's so rich in this mushroom compared to the other mushroom.
Compared to the other mushrooms, what's so rich about the chaga mushroom is its melanin. That's what makes it superior, higher in rank, status, or quality. This is facts. It's nothing personal. These are all facts. We're just going to take it there. Let's take it there.
And what they found in Russia, it protects genes and it actually repairs broken DNA. Isn't that wonderful? Something breaks down because you're exposed to chemicals or radiation. Think of the people of Japan right now in 2011 who are suffering from huge amounts of radiation. What could we do to help them repair their, prevent cancer developing? Well, you need a DNA repairer, and that's what melanin does. Just think.
So anytime we're ready, we can heal. We can heal super duper fast, as long as we go back to our environment.
Think what you can tell people who have families over there and so on. So this is a.
Now I want you to understand that this dude right now is talking to a room full of Caucasians, and he's very uncomfortable as he's talking about the superiority of melanin to them. Even as he's talking to them, and you could tell in his face, he's very uncomfortable talking and selling chaga to these people because he's basically telling them that they're inferior to the darkest skinned human. Because the mushroom is analogous to human.
Complex molecule. It's found in the brain. It's found in your adrenal glands. It's a powerful free radical scavenger. In other words, it helps the body prevent this oxidation, so it's an antioxidant. And I believe this is what makes chaga, among other things, one of the more special mushrooms that are out there. Now, just look at this. I hope you can read this, that 40% of the dry weight of chaga is made up of these water extractable substances, and more than half, when you dry it, of that extract, which is 25% of the original material, is actually this coloring, this melanin. It's called a chromogenic complex. It's another name for it makes a dark color.
They're calling it CHC now, y'all. CHC. That's what they call it, melanin now. Be on the lookout for this. They're calling it CHC. Chromogenic complex. That's what they're calling it. Remember, they hide these words so that you won't know what they are. It's a high content of CHC in chaga, important distinctive feature. That's what they want to call it now.
The dark color complex, and 25% of this mushroom is made up out of this. It's its most distinctive feature. Now, and again, this is in that paper by Shashkina. That's on the website. You can learn about the chemical and medical biological properties of chaga, a review study translated out of Russian from 2006.
So they've been studying this forever. This is 2006, man.
And this paper basically says, you know, there are these polyphenolic, chromogenic, human-like complexes present in chaga. In other words, it's the dark stuff. The dark stuff, the black, brown stuff in chaga, what makes everything look so dark, which just, you know, put it on your skin and it looks a little darker, but somehow it improves in things as well.
Okay, do you hear it? Did you hear that? It's the dark stuff. He's breaking it down scientifically, these people in this room, and he's embarrassed to say this stuff to these white people. You can see he's like, it's the dark stuff, the brown stuff. You just put it on your skin and it makes you better.
We'll talk about in a minute. That's what's in chaga. And they studied this, Babatskaya studied this in 2002, studied this melanin complex, and says it protects the genes in your body. Now, I'm going to switch hats for a minute and talk. As some of you know, I'm also an engineer and a biomedical
Here we go.
engineer.
He's a biomedical engineer. Biomedical engineer. You see, while we walking around getting the latest new album, while we walking around worried about if the Cavs is going to win or Golden State is going to win, they studying your ass. So go keep on, because these people sit around 24/7. They wake up every day, put clothes on, and get paid to study your ass, but you won't even study you. And you got all the information right here. Shame on us, man. Shame on us.
And I've designed equipment that we took to the top of Mount Everest, and did the first scientific studies on top of Mount Everest to find out why people could live up there. A very rough environment because there's no oxygen there to breathe. And with no oxygen, your brain isn't very happy, and neither is all the cells in your body. So up there is less atmosphere, and there's an awful lot of light. And so I got really interested back in the 1980s when we did this kind of work.
1980s.
With the University of California in San Diego, where I was doing a postdoctoral fellowship. I got really interested also in light. Now, the visible light in the electromagnetic spectrum is only a small part, and it's the colors from, you know, the deep reds to the purples. But it's in this very narrow band. Below that, there is infrared or warmth, infrared light or warmth, microwaves that we use for communication nowadays with our cell phones and Wi-Fi and so on. Radio waves are even longer. And then up here are what's ionizing radiation that breaks down things like ultraviolet light, which is faster in frequency, X-rays and gamma rays like we get from atomic reactors and so forth. So light is a very narrow part of the spectrum in what's called nanometers wavelength, 400 to 700 nanometers. Here's another way of seeing it. Here's the electromagnetic spectrum. Visible light that your eyes respond to and your skin responds to is a narrow part of the spectrum, you know, here. Now,
there's no way these people could be more excited about light than you are when you're light. You're literally walking light. Why aren't you excited as these people are about this information? You should be excited about this information as they are excited about this information. Man, they are studying you and they are very excited about it, and they hide it from you. They know who we are.
When you look at absorption curves in a test tube of melanin, this is what we're talking about. You can see
in a test tube of melanin. They take in the melanin and put it in a test tube. Okay, they're measuring the absorption curves of melanin in a test tube. Listen to what he just said.
You know, here. Now, when you look at absorption curves in a test tube of melanin, this is what we're talking about. You can see in the blue part of the spectrum over here, the short wavelengths, which is higher energy. Melanin has a lot of absorption, and it falls off a little bit, but it's in the same region.
Okay, if you look at this meter the right way, you see 400 to 700 nanometers. Melanin absorbs, as it's going to the right, you see it's 700. Melanin absorbs all of it, absolutely all of it.
That our body absorbs also light in forms of hemoglobin when you oxygenate your blood.
Okay, did you hear that? That oxygen is also a form of light, guys. Listen very closely. It's all being said.
Absorbs also light in forms of hemoglobin when you oxygenate your blood.
Most of y'all don't have no red blood cells, black woman. Black woman ain't got no red blood cells. You're anemic. You got to take iron pills, synthetic iron pills. But you're not realizing one thing is this. Gracias. What you're not realizing is that you're not getting enough oxygen because you don't live in the jungle. You're supposed to be living in the jungle so that your body can receive the oxygen it needs so that you can create the red blood cells in communication with the plant, because the plant's going to give you oxygen, which that's what carries oxygen throughout your body, which is a form of light, which is your red blood cells, hemoglobin.
The same region that our body absorbs also light in forms of hemoglobin when you oxygenate your blood. It's also in that same region. And when you deoxygenate your blood, when the cells...
People laugh at me when I tell them that oxygen is a form of light as well. Your body is absorbing oxygen. Melanin absorbs all forms of light, period. Sound, electricity, all of the forms of light.
Take the oxygen up, then you get the bluer blood, which is venous blood, and it's in the same region where melanin absorbs it. Has a very broad absorption of energy. Picture. Okay, it absorbs light and warmth very, very effectively, and it modulates something in the body. And melanin, you can think of, is very analogous to the chlorophyll. That's the green stuff in plants.
You got green stuff in plants. You got brown stuff in people. It's analogous to chlorophyll. Melanin is analogous to chlorophyll. Check it out.
What makes the plants green? Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the same molecule as hemoglobin that's in your blood, except hemoglobin has iron in the center and chlorophyll has magnesium in the center.
There it is.
Like liquid green blood, okay? Now, melanin has the same kind of ring structures and so on, and it makes very complex structures, and not all melanins are the same, as we'll talk about in a minute. In fact, there's somebody even studying that and wondering whether energy is directly absorbed from the melanin in your skin and transformed into energy in your body.
That's a fact. When you're in the jungle, you are vibrating at a higher frequency. The oxygen is absorbed by the body, light is absorbed by the body, and it converts it into energy. What's called mitochondrial DNA, ATP.
Okay, and they even think about could in the future, and they're developing this now, they're taking melanin and making batteries out of them. That's
They're making batteries out of melanin, man. Batteries. Batteries.
Store energy from the sunlight directly. It might, in fact, become a future source of how we're going to generate energy.
There it is. You power in Babylon, right there. You're a battery. That takes me right here. Right here. Hold up. No. No, that's not it. That's not it. There it is. Yeah. This is it. No, that's not it either. There's a website talking about them turning us to a battery. Melanin conductor. I'm gonna put melanin organic semiconductor. There it is. Yeah. Okay. I think this is it. Melanin. Yep, here it goes. Here we go. Melanin, the pigment that colors skin, eyes, and hair. Okay, and your nipples. Okay, they don't say nipples, but your nipples got melanin all the way around them. But you got yours covered up. But melanin allows light to be absorbed into your nipples. Is melanin in your nipples? Your nipples are covered up, keeping you vibrating at a lower frequency. Could soon be the face of a new generation of biological friendly electronic devices used in applications such as medical sensors and tissue stimulation and treatment. Semiconductors, or Well, let me read this. This person has published a study that is first time gives remarkable insight into electrical properties of pigment and its biologically compatible bioelectronic features. Semiconductors are arguably the most important modern day high-tech material. This is your melanocytes. This is your melanin. They drive all modern electronics. The majority of semiconductors are made from inorganic elements, such as or compounds such as silicon or gallium or arsenide. Okay, this is what's in your computers. This is what, you know, they have semiconductors in your computers, and they use silicon and gallium arsenide. Organic semiconductors, on the other hand, are relatively new members of the semiconductor family and are composed of molecules containing carbon, hydrogen, and other elements. There are a few examples of natural organic semiconductors, and melanin was thought to be the very first example, demonstrated by such in the early 70s. What? In the early 70s. Co-author, associate professional Powell said that in semiconductors, such as those found in computers and mobile phones, electrons carry the electrical current. However, in biology, in the biological systems, such as brain and muscles, ions carry the current. You see the analogous there? The analogous there? We've now found that in melanin, both electrons and ions play important roles, he said. The study published recently in Proceeding of National Academy of Sciences points to a new way of interfacing conventional electrons to biological systems using a combination of ions and electrons, conducing biomaterials such as melanin. Hello, melanin is able to talk. Whoa, wait a minute. Melanin is able to talk. Wait, here it goes again. I'm gonna say it again. Melanin is able to talk to both electronics and ionic control circuitry, and hence can provide the connection role, said Professor Meredith about the studies finding. They're studying you. You worried about a relationship, they studying your ass. The culmination of 10 years of research and experiments. They've been experimenting on melanin for damn near over 10 years. Well, this is just this person that's been said. She said the 70s. There are few materials that meet these compatible bioelectronic requirements, and an insightful into melanin's important biological functions and properties has been really crucial in this study. In recent years, the electronic industry has been driven to develop materials and components that are cheaper and more environmentally friendly. Melanin, nigga. They about to turn us into batteries. These are realizations that in many such applications, we can move on from relatively more expensive inorganic semiconductors. We need cheaper, safer electronic materials with greener credentials, said Professor Meredith. Organic conductors and semiconductors are widely viewed as having enormous potential in this regard, and in the area of medical sensors and devices, biocompatibility will be the key requirement. Come on now. Y'all about to be powering these hospitals and computers and cell phones. What's it called? Parenthood. The team is currently working on creating an ion-based electrical device using melanin. This website is called www.uq.edu.au. Just put in Google melanin organic semiconductor, and you're gonna see this. This is real. This is a real shit. It's right here, bro. With a view of ultimately connect them actually to actual biological systems. This is real. This is a real website, bro. It's really happening. Like, it's really in your face, bro. All right. Now we're about to go back to this video.
Now, let's get back with that little bit of physics background. Let's talk about melanin inside chaga and melanin inside the body.
Let's talk about it. It has a broad absorption spectrum, right? Melanin also absorbs thousands of times more electromagnetic radiation, photons, than chlorophyll. That means you are greater than plants and trees, my G. You absorb thousands of times more which basically is photons, light. You can absorb more light than a plant can. Thousands times more. Exists in many tissues besides the skin, all throughout your body. It's present in developing fetuses. Planned Parenthood in the hood. Get your abortion, baby. Get your abortion so we can take that baby. You ain't got to worry about nothing. Close your eyes. We take it to sleep and put the baby in the trash. Yeah, right. It's so much melanin inside that baby. They got abortion clinics everywhere. They want them babies. They need them babies. They need them fetuses. Thought to be the master molecule for steering biological processes in the body. We just read that whole article. Let's go back in.
So it absorbs thousands of times more electromagnetic radiation actually than chlorophyll does. And chlorophyll is what we need to make proteins and sugars, especially sugars in the body. It exists in many other tissues, as I mentioned. It's actually a very important molecule in any woman who's having a baby because the fetus has all this melanin in it, as I'll show you. Okay? And it's thought to be, by some people, a master molecule that actually steers how the body communicates. For example, Frank Barr, a scientist, wrote a whole article, a whole issue of a journal.
Melanin is a conductor. A conductor tells stuff what to do. It's a leader. It tells stuff what to do. It tells your heart to beat. It tells the cells to reproduce. It tells things what to do. It's God. It commands things to do things. It makes everything function. It is the universe.
Called medical hypothesis saying, you know, melanin is such a special molecule and it's found in the babies. It may have a major role in steering things in the body, in the whole regulatory system. Melanin's role in embryological organization, that's in the baby's organization, and tissue repair and tissue regeneration may be connected to the major role that it plays to balance the body, that's called homeostasis, in the autonomic, neuroendocrine, and immunological system. So in other words, melanin may play a much bigger role than just absorbing all this radiation. And when you get it into your body, it actually has a major effect on your immune system. Here's a picture of a baby at 35 days of pregnancy, and this is the eye of an embryo inside a mother. It's a very tiny.
They go all that melanin, man. That's what they want, man. You in a relationship with Ray, arguing with him. You don't want to be pregnant. You don't want to be pregnant. You calling up your girl and say, "I get an abortion, girl." Oh yeah, there's abortion clinics everywhere. Why do you think the president talking about it?
Any little thing. Notice that the eye is pure melanin. That's an amazing picture, isn't it? To see all this melanin is inside, and when the embryo first forms, there is what's called the dark streak. It's all melanin.
They want to eat your babies, homie. Eat your babies.
Okay, here's an example of a plant. It's an eggplant that has melanin in it, and a genetically changed one that...
A genetically changed one? No, a genetically retarded one. You see this? 2 eggplants. One melanated, the other one genetically retarded, underdeveloped. Period.
Okay, here's an example of a plant. It's an eggplant that has melanin in it, and a genetically changed one that is no melanin in it.
You see how uncomfortable he is talking though? is a genetically changed one. Nah, nigga, genetically retarded one. And cut it out, bro. Come on.
Just the size of the two difference. I mean, this is an indirect indication that melanin, you know, directly can transduce energy in the vegetable kingdom. Now, the body.
Now, this is the very important part right here, because this is where disease come in. If you want to understand disease, you have to understand this part right here. Period.
Is a living matrix, and you really want to get this because this is kind of part of the operating system of your body, you know. And I know that as we're talking about it, you really have to strain a little bit to stay with me, but I think it'll make some sense here. The body is actually a communication system where everything is connected to everything else, and it works through light. It works through light. It's called biophotons. And in this communication system, cells have connections to other cells called integrins, and electrons and light flows.
The universe is trying to communicate itself through light, through cells. Everything is interconnected. It's all trying to communicate itself to itself. All you can do is get in the way of that.
Between cells. So it's like a supercomputer. Your body is like a supercomputer. And
your body is a supercomputer, especially if you got melanin in it.
The skin is connected to every other part of the body. Kind of like a spider web, where everything, when you tug on one part of the spider web, it connects to everything else. And so these cells connect to the connective tissue, which the skin is part of, and it all works like semiconductors. Now, semiconductors, like computer chips, are made out of silicon. These are living semiconductors. Your body is made out of this complex hyper supercomputer that figures everything out. And this is what energy medicine is all about. And when you put chemicals or drugs or lotions,
when you put chemicals, drugs, lotions, solvents, pesticides, chemtrails, fluoride, chlorine, it all of your food, and start Googling everything in your bathroom and the ingredients that anything that you put in your body or on your body. Look at the ingredients on the label. Take your phone and start Googling. What you're going to find out is everything is stripping you of your melanin slowly. From your shower, there's chlorine, there's fluoride, there's pharmaceuticals in the water that are stripping you from your melanin. Period. Your shower is taking your melanin away from you. Period. When you take melanin away from you, what you're doing is you're interrupting this communication between this matrix system that the universe is trying to communicate itself through light, through your being. And all you're doing is getting in your way. So if you're living like a European, then at the end of the day, they are eating a certain way that insulates them. They are living in a way that the whole culture is wrapped around insulating themselves, and you're not a part of that culture. You belong in the jungle. Okay, you belong in the jungle. Even they belong in the jungle, but we would have to teach them how to live there. They are basically retarded. They're genetically retarded, so they have a miscommunication with the universe. That's why they have all these diseases. Now we're starting to get all these diseases because we're in disconnection with what we are, which is the universe. It is not until that we come back to the tropics, live in the jungle, and be one with who we truly are, and bring our abilities and all the abilities that we have, and stop giving it to the motherfucking system as far as sports and entertainment. We can apply these things to protect nature. We were made melanated beings. The reason why we're brown and the earth is brown, because we're here to protect and rule it. We're here to make sure that protect the earth. We're here to die about that. When I say die, I mean wake up from this dream. It would be nothing better pleasure than to be a warrior for the planet Earth. Because this is who I am. This is who I truly am. I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I love my hair the way it grows out because I know it's melanated, and it gets coil and copper, and it starts to knot up because it's trying to be most conducive so it can give me the correct and proper communication with the universe that I am. But because we don't know ourselves, we live in a frequency, and like I said, in the mind of the European. And the dimensions of our mind are captivated by his mind, with his vibrating at a lower frequency.
Or pesticides or mercury from dental fillings that are leaking into your body, then this matrix gets upset. This matrix does not function. The energy doesn't communicate well. And this is where chaga is.
This is where basically melanin is going to help them and heal them so they can live in their little world, and so they're going to steal melanin. You understand? So we got our mother colors. We got look up melanocytes and pituitary gland. so you can understand how the pituitary gland is producing melanocytes, which produce melanin, which creates the communication from. It is the thing that creates. It's the antenna that creates the connection. It is like basically, it is like like you have internet. Okay, you have your internet, you have your Wi-Fi modem, and you have your Wi-Fi router. Your pituitary gland is like a modem, and it sends its signal to your routers, which is your organs, and it's all communicating with each other. Now, when there's not a connection, you don't have a connection to the internet. Just like you don't have a connection to the Ethernet where all information is coming from. Okay, so study the pituitary gland and melanocytes. What you're gonna find is every time in these videos when they're teaching you about the MSH, you're not gonna find no information about MSH like that, because they know that that has nothing to do with them. And even when they're talking about the pituitary gland, skipped the MSH, the melanocyte stimulating hormone. They don't talk about it like that. You can't find it on that line. You can't find it on the internet nowhere. It's very little information about MSH. Go research it on YouTube. You won't even find nothing. You're gonna have to read details to find out that you are the universe vibrating itself to itself. Your pituitary gland is vibrating. All of your glands are vibrating. You are vibrating. The sun is vibrating. It is ringing like a bell. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Boom. The sun ringing like bell. They know this. They know everything is vibration. The sun does the sun sound like a bell? It's vibrating like a bell. Well, I know it's vibrating like a bell. Solar waves, Earth is ringing like a bell. There you go. Solar waves. I know it is. I look for this stuff online. You can't find it, but I travel. I astrologically travel. When I travel, I get a lot of my information from plants, understanding in my dreams. I come back with all this information and I go online trying to find a way to show you, but it's limited. It's very limited when it comes into understanding who we are truly. It's very limited. So I have to try to articulate certain high vibrational with beings that don't have no information online. We need to be taught. How can you be taught by a black man when you're trained to be taught by a Caucasian? If the Caucasian is a kid, you won't believe it. So there's information that he's not going to tell you. So you're going to be trapped in his mind, man, because he has an agenda to rule and to destroy himself. That's what Caucasian people are doing. They're destroying themselves. They are self-destructing. They don't realize this stuff because the cancer cell doesn't realize it's a part of the organism. Cancer cells, let me tell you something about the cancer cells. Cancer cells don't realize, I don't know if this is online, I'm just checking, don't realize they are a part of organism. So I might have spelled that all wrong. You go look up what cancer does, and it's what is cancer, how it acts, what's its behavior, cancer cell development. What you're going to realize is this is the United States. The United States is literally cancer. Their minds think like cancer. They're moving around on the planet as cells. We're all cells, and the Caucasian is sitting here destroying itself because you can't destroy the planet. The planet will swallow you whole. Okay? It's going to heat up and heal itself, just like your body does. When your body has a fever, it heats up and it slows the process of the disease down. That's just that. Okay? Okay, boom. So now, you know, basically, what I'm basically saying here is this. Okay? The word retarded, when I say the Caucasian is retarded, I mean it's underdeveloped genetically. It's genetically retarded. So therefore, when you got a retarded kid, you can't get mad at the retarded kid because the retarded kid, you can only trust them from the development of their mind. So you realize that these people are self-destructing. You can't do what they're doing. So you don't get mad at a retarded kid for being retarded. You actually respect it and say, okay, I'm going to position myself so that this retarded person or this retarded being, genetically retarded being, won't hurt me. When you see retarded people come around, don't you take caution? Because at the end of the day, if the retarded person hits you, you can get mad all you want. You hit them back, you just as retarded as the retarded person. You get into a fight with a retarded person. You hating on a retarded person. Look at these motherfucking retarded people. You just as retarded as the retarded people. You just as underdeveloped. We need to become intelligent beings again, man. We need to become supreme beings in tune with nature again. We can't sit here and keep talking about the retardation of the lower self. They're genetically modified. We're genetically qualified. So there should be no excuse on us leveling up and doing what we're supposed to do scientifically, objectively, from the facts that we've been given, to position ourselves back to get oxygen the way we're supposed to get oxygen. In my next video, I'm going to be showing you and diagnosing you with basically what Black people are suffering with right now. It is something called cerebral hypoxia. But I'm going to be talking about that in my next video. This video has went too long, and I know y'all attention span ain't worth shit. So y'all probably not even listening, because they have conditioned you through the social media to have instant gratification. They have controlled your mind to only receive information in small clips, so you won't really regurgitate information and you don't have no focus. They have stolen your focus away from you, so that all this information will mean nothing, because you have no attention span to sit still to learn something of quality anyway. You cannot put the universe in a 30-second, 1-minute clip. All this information I just said was facts. Everything in this video is a fact. You can't, it's undisputable. This is fact. You can't get around it. They're not going to tell you this. I use this as an instrument to express what I know about us. You know, we could do things from our imagination and subjectivity, but it's not until you understand why you do it does it give you purpose and drive. We must understand why we should do it and why we should connect with nature, not just go out, oh, look at me, I'm outside with nature. No. Okay? Okay, now where's this thing at? Wait, okay. So where's the actual? Okay, so it says resume. Did it stop? Okay, so we back. Stop sharing that. So, okay, I should be back on your screen now. All right, so as you see, we are melanated beings. We are supreme beings. We belong to Jews. We are the ones that are brown. We are vibrating beings. Our souls are actually vibrating. Our body is a soul. It's a figment of the mind, which is a soul. Your body is the vehicle that the mind made to travel in this dimension of nanometer between 400 and 700 nanometers. The body is actually a figment of the mind. The mind created the body to be able to travel in this dimension. So it's very important to not separate the mind from the body. The body is the mind. Okay, even when you are dreaming and you go into another dream, you think that you left your body, but no, you're actually taking a different kind of body that your mind has designed for that dimension. You always have a body. Don't think that there's a separation between your body and your mind. That is a blunder. You need not to do that. Your body is actually the image of your mind. Your mind created your body to actually function, to express your soul, your mind. I know that's hard to believe, because when you went to a funeral before, you've seen somebody dead and you've seen somebody sleep before. It's very important that we understand this before I end this video. When you see somebody sleeping on the side of you, In your mind, you're saying this person is right here. But if you truly understood the person, you would realize that the person is not really there. They're somewhere else traveling in another dimension. In your mind, the person exists there because they exist within what you're observing. That's you. That's light refracting itself to itself. You are the universe. And this is very complex to understand. But if you take a moment and think about it, it makes perfect sense. When you see somebody dead in a casket, they're laying there. Are they dead? Are they truly dead? Or are your perception of them is dead because you're looking at a body? So that you think that when your body's at rest, that it's sitting there. No. Your mind takes you to another place and you have a body in your dreams. It's very intricate. You have to pay attention to the detail because you can miss out. See, the devil's always in the detail. That's the problem of today. The devil rules because you guys do not have the attention span to catch the details. They have warped your mind with this instant gratification, instant knowledge shit. Monitor that. We are supreme beings. And I wanted to prove this scientifically, objectively to you today, right now. If you are melanated, you are the head of humanity. There's only one race. That is the human race. The head of that race is the melanated being. All else is recessive to our genetics. So that means that we're dominant, which means we're superior. That's just science, man. I'm not looking down on the genetic retarded. All I'm saying is that let this be known that if I'm dealing with a retarded person, I'm not going to get too mad at you, dude, for the things that you're doing. You're retarded. I'm not going to partake in what you're doing with you. That makes me just as retarded as you. When I'm supreme being, I live in harmony with nature. All right. With that being said, I love my self-reflection.